Okay, she gonna educate us. Okay. Now, Lindsay Wavelength here is an intuitive guide and a spiritual practitioner dedicated to helping people navigate life's transitions and cosmic shifts. Through her work, she aims to empower others to find their footing as we collectively build a collaborative, fresh future. And who else but Lindsay here to give us her story and tell us about your leadership story and what brought you to Substack. And our title today is Astrology Playing Out in Real Life.
That was an amazing introduction, Margaret. Thank you. I'm like, wow, I'm all those things, right? Because I just think I'm a regular person. But when you say all those things, I'm like, wow, I've really, I've come a long way, right? Yeah. So what brought me to Substack was, so I have been into astrology for like a decade, and I have found a lot of guidance and comfort through watching other astrologers explain the energy that we're all working through. We're all working through the same energy at the same time, right? But we're doing it in different ways because we all have different birth charts. And our birth charts kind of ping off the current energy in different ways. But there's definitely a common thread. So when we're going through things and we don't understand it, and to hear an astrologer explain like the general energy that we're all working within, it's kind of like it gives you context, right? And it's like, okay, so it's not just me. I'm not crazy. I am feeling this. Other people are feeling this, and we're all navigating it together in a way, in our own individual version of it, right? But it's been so helpful for me, but astrology is really complex, right? So there's a lot of layers to it. It's like a never ending, I'm still learning. But what I wanted to do was be able to look at the astrology and explain it to people in a way that's easier to understand, and to give other people that same comfort and that same guidance, because there are certain ways we're supposed to move at certain times because of the energy that the universe is providing, right? So when you know the background energy that we're working with, we can make better choices. We can understand the challenges and what we're going through. And it gives us direction. It gives us comfort. And so that's why I love astrology. And it still blows my mind constantly when I read a birth chart and I tell somebody about themselves and I see their eyes light up, and they're like, yeah, and then you can give them a little bit additional context to who they are or what they're going through. Or on Substack, what I mostly do is like the mundane astrology, which is kind of like the general overall astrology for everybody. And to see people in my comments be like, yeah, that's how I feel. Yes, that's accurate. Or, the astrology never ceases to amaze me because it's real, right? And when I first got into it and I first started like diving into birth charts and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, well, that feels true. Oh, that's true. And then you get to a point in your research where like you can't deny anymore that astrology is real, right? And it's kind of like a mind-blowing moment where you're like, holy shit, if that's real, that kind of shifts my perspective on what I thought reality was and what things can be possible. So that's my love for astrology.
Okay, and which blends in astrology and tarot. There's correlations there, and also with
Oh yeah.
energy healing.
Mm-hmm.
They all intertwine.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
So I love my tarot. And I haven't been into tarot quite as long as I've been into astrology. I probably really got into tarot around 2020. And it started with me watching other tarot readers on YouTube. And we're not going to connect with every general tarot reading we see on YouTube, right? But if you find somebody that is like linked into the same wavelength, right? The same energetic frequency that you are, it can feel like a very personal reading, right? So that's discernment of knowing like not every reading is for you, but knowing which ones are. And even then, not the whole reading might not be for you, right? So our own intuition always comes first. Even with astrology, because astrology can be read wrong, interpreted wrong, and astrology is not just one placement or one aspect, it's how it all blends together. So you might be reading one placement, but there's other stuff going on in the sky that maybe you missed, and so you're not getting a full picture of the energy. So following your own intuition first, I feel, is really important. And I noticed a lot of intuitives, especially here on Substack, tune into the energy of the astrology without knowing the astrology. They're picking up on the energy through their intuition. And I'll see their posts and I'm like, are you an astrologer? Do you know the astrology? Because that's exactly what I'm seeing in the astrology, right? But they're just getting it through their own intuition. So our intuition is so powerful. And I just want everybody to remember that. When it comes to my tarot cards, I get messages all the time, and I'm never really sure where they're supposed to go, so I just kind of like file them away. And so when I'm pulling my cards for somebody, if I get a certain card, it will tell me like, "Oh, remember when you got that message about this?" And the card will kind of tell me that's it. And then so I'll know what to tell the person. And so sometimes people are like, "Oh my gosh, you got that whole message just from one card." And it's like, "Well, kind of, but not really." Because I got a whole message for you like the other day, but I didn't know it was for you and I didn't know what it was for. But when this card came out, it told me it was for you. Um,
Let me
yeah.
oh let me ask you a question because I find all this stuff very interesting. Are you a medium or are you a channeler?
See, I'm still trying to understand that, because I'm not exactly sure where my messages come from. It's like sometimes it's a knowing, and sometimes it's actual words, like somebody's telling me something. But I'm really careful. I don't like to call myself a psychic or anything like that because if somebody comes to me with a specific question, I might not be able to bounce back and answer immediately. So I can't control when or how or what messages I get. I just get them. Um, and like I said, I usually file them away until I get the message that like this is what it's for. So I don't have as much control over it as other psychics that are like, you can go to a psychic sometimes and ask them a question and they'll have a real answer for you in real time. I'm not really there. Um, yeah, so I'm just careful not to label myself a psychic.
Right? Because it can easily be misconstrued. Okay.
Mhm.
And so I don't know what type of ethics and all of that that you have to be concerned about, but you always have to be concerned because word of mouth gets around very quickly. Either somebody will praise you or somebody say, well, don't go back over there because she don't know what she's doing, she's crazy. So we, being on social media, we have to be extremely careful about all of these things.
Yeah, and people know when you're full of it, like you said, absolutely. And my goal is really like I want to help people. So how I'm not helping people if I'm just like full of it either, right? And I believe in astrology and spirituality and all that, and I think it's a really powerful tool that I want people to use. So I don't want to be out there putting out. I don't want people to think it's bullshit because of me, right? I want to be authentic and help people find it for real. I don't want to give people a bad experience where they're like, "Oh, it's all bullshit. It's not real." Like, I don't want to be one of those people, you know?
Yeah, while we're talking about, let's talk about that because I think astrology, witchcraft, tarot cards, really all of these things get a bad rap because
Mhm.
of skepticism, you know? So let's talk about, especially in today's world, all the challenges that we're facing on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, my goal, like, I want to show people that it's real. Like, I'm still trying to convince my husband that it's real because he's a skeptic, right? And he, I think deep down he does believe it, but there's just part of him that can't fully wrap his head around it. It's not his thing, right? He's a Gemini, so he's very logical. But every once in a while, I'll notice him asking me questions about astrology, like, "Oh, what's my 12th house?" And And so, like, you're not asking me because you don't believe in it, right?
Funny you say that because I'm a Gemini too, and I do believe in it in a certain degree. Like I said, with everything that's going on on an hourly basis, we have to look at the tools and resources we have available to us.
Yeah.
Okay. Some things that are not working, get rid of those. And these things that we're talking about, institute these things in our life because I believe that they work as well. As long
Yeah.
as it's including the Enneagram, including uh, human design,
Hmm.
okay? And all of these other things, when we put all of these things together, see how they interconnect and how we can utilize these things to increase our authority, increase our impact and our influence in the world. The 1% is doing it with their wealth. So why
That's
not utilize the tools and resources that we have available to us?
it. So they use it too, right? So
Let's talk about it. Let's
let's
talk
talk.
about it.
Let's talk about it. So back in the day, kings had astrologers, like, you know, and so, and I think the presidents and the world leaders, I think they use these tools, right? And I think part of the reason that they tried to make it all seem ridiculous is because they don't want us using those tools, right? So they reduced
Okay.
astrology. Yeah, it's one of the ways they take our power away. And so, like, they reduced astrology to, like, in the newspapers, like a sun sign horoscope that was like very generic and just, and so then people are like, well, everybody in the world gets broken up into 12 different horoscopes, and that's like how everybody's day is going. There's only 12 options. And I get so frustrated because we are not just our sun signs, right? Our moon was in a sign, Mercury, Venus, like all the planets were in a sign. You have a whole intricate birth chart, and you are not just your sun sign. So, no, all of us are not broken up into 12 categories where we're all having one of 12 kind of days. Like, that's not how that works at all. And I remember watching a documentary with my husband about astrology, and I was so excited to watch it. And I ended up getting so mad. I was like yelling at the TV, right? Because this is a documentary. It's supposed to be legit. And I'm like, you're telling me they couldn't get one professional astrologer to come on here and talk about the real astrology? And they were, if for me, somebody that knows about astrology, I know that they were very blatantly trying to make astrology look ridiculous and create doubt around it, right? But somebody that doesn't know astrology would watch that documentary and just believe it, right? Just believe that astrology is bullshit.
Yeah, and let's look at another thing before I forget. Let's look. The kings also had philosophers. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They had Seneca and all of these wisdom people with wisdom to come in and give them advice, and then they say, "Oh, well, I don't believe that," or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So they
Yeah.
took advice from all of these people, astrologers, like I said, Michelangelo, a lot of these geniuses. They had on staff.
Yeah. Advisors.
Exactly. They would
Yeah.
tell them, "Oh, it's going to rain or it's going to be a famine." Tell them what to do and everything.
Yeah. And when they can read the energy, it makes it so much easier for them to manipulate the people, right?
Exactly. And they did that.
They
They did
did.
that.
Yeah. So if you want to dive into like specifics, a lot of us probably have heard of Barbalt's basket. If you follow astrology at all, a lot of the astrologers are talking about that. I had never heard of this French astrologer until this cradle was coming up. I think it's going to be exact on the 20th, but it's active. It's all within orb. We're feeling it. We're in it. But this astrologer was really interesting because he studied the outer planets. And that really got my attention because I am so into the outer planets. Like, that's my jam. Because the inner planets, they move quickly, right? So the inner planets, whatever they're doing, it's kind of like a mood. The outer planets are farther away and they're slower moving. So those are like eras. That's like the bigger picture of what we're all moving through. So I love the outer planets. And so what he studied was the closer all the outer planets are, the harder time we're having as humanity. Now, when COVID happened, we had a major conjunction with the outer planets in Capricorn, and Capricorn is about the control structure, right? So from what he said, and I feel like what a lot of us just intuitively know, is that COVID was the epitome of shit hitting the fan, right? It was the big power grab from the powers that be, kind of taking their last ditch effort to see how much they could control the people, right? And so after that, the outer planets have all been separating. And so the further apart they get, the more we're entering into a more positive era. So even though things look like they're not going in a good direction, if you follow the astrology, they are. And so the powers that be know this, right? So what are they doing? They are putting things on our screens to try to make the world look like a scarier place than what it is, because they don't want us to see our power. They don't want us to see that we can go into something better. And think about it. If we stop paying attention to the news and doom scrolling, if you stop, take out everything you see on your screen and look at the world around you. I don't know what you guys are seeing, and I'm getting goosebumps right now. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I'm seeing a beautiful world around me, right? So the astrology is telling me, like, we need to be focusing on what's in front of us, and not, there's nothing in Sagittarius, right? There's nothing in the outer planets in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is out in the distance, right? We're not supposed to be focusing on what's going on out there. We're supposed to be focusing on what's happening right in front of us, pouring into our families, our local communities, and building up those things, because that is where we're going to make the difference. That is where we're going to build our future. That's where we have our power, right? And I can get into more specifics on the astrology of like how I got to that point, but I don't really want to bore everybody. But I mean, that's basically what it is, right? And technology is going to play a part in that, whether people like it or not. That the astrology is just saying that, right? And just like how astrology and tarot are tools, so is technology, and so is AI, right? Love it or hate it, it's here and it's not going anywhere. So how can we use it? Because, you know, the people in power are using the tool of AI and technology. How can we use it to better ourselves, right?
I just wanted to say, Wendy says Uranus represents technology,
Yep.
Gemini represents communication. They both move fast.
Yep. She's spot
Uh,
on, and she knows exactly what she's talking about. Absolutely. Yep.
okay, and Michelle say for sure they know this. Part of the flood the zone thing. Um, I have a huge Pluto. She said influence. Um,
Hmm.
uh,
And Pluto is part of that
Wendy.
story. So Pluto is in Aquarius, right? And so Pluto empowers and transforms, and Aquarius is the people. Okay. So the people are getting their power back by coming together with other people. And what rules Aquarius? Uranus. Okay. So Pluto in Aquarius is pouring its energy into Uranus and Gemini. So the people get their power back by coming together. And Gemini is our local communities. Okay. It's your neighborhood. It's driving distance. It's right here in front of us. So yeah, I don't want to get repetitive, but stop focusing on what's going on out in the world that you can't control, and focus on building up your communities. What systems can we create to make things better, right? Like us having conversations like this is like, this is what we need to do, and we're going to figure it out together. Power in numbers. Don't underestimate rolling deep.
Absolutely, and that's why we continue to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Uh, as we know, talk to us about how astrology, tarot, and energy healing has moved in your personal life and your business, because we talked about your degree.
Yeah. And you know, I forget all the time that I even have that. So I did go to college for business, and I got my associate's degree, and then I transferred to a state school and I started going for my bachelor's. I didn't finish for financial reasons. It was around 2008 when the economy got crazy and my parents just couldn't. It was expensive, right? So I wasn't able to finish. Um, and even in high school, I went to a vocational school and I took marketing. So I've always had a business mind. But, excuse me, like I told you, I could never sit in an office job. I couldn't do it, right? And I remember when I was in college, I had an office job over the summer and it just felt like a slow death of my soul. Like I couldn't, everybody was nice. I could do the job. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just being confined in that office, just losing my freedom, right? I am an Aquarius rising. I do have Uranus on my moon in my 10th house. Like I need freedom and I'm not conventional, right? I need to do things outside of the box. I'm here to be an innovator. I'm here to shake things up. And so it was just hard for me. And before I became a mom and before I got married, I was delivering pizzas and I also had a sales job. And I did both part-time. And when it came down to it, I ended up quitting the sales job and I went all in on delivering pizzas. And I was making sales. I was doing a good job. They were really excited to have me. They were printing me business cards. It was great. I could have totally went with it. And it was sales. So I could go out and talk to other businesses. I wasn't confined to the office all day. But there was just something about it. I don't know. Maybe it was too conventional. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. And that's not what I wanted to put that many hours of my life into. And so delivering pizza, I could just drive around in my car and drop off pizza and get back in my car and keep it moving, right? And in my car, I had the freedom to listen to whatever music I wanted to, smoke a cigarette if I wanted to, have a phone call if I wanted to. So that freedom was just always really important to me. And then I got married and my husband, he's a provider, so he supports our family and I've never had to work, and I know I'm really blessed and lucky for that. And then with kids, I decided to be a homeschool mom. I was always going to be a stay-at-home mom because I always wanted to be involved with my kids, right, and run my household. And when COVID hit, my oldest son was in kindergarten. So he did preschool, he did half of kindergarten, then they did remote. And remote was actually a blessing because that showed me that I was perfectly capable of teaching my own kid, right? It sounds like something scary and overwhelming, and we're kind of, society kind of makes us feel like we're not capable of doing that because are you a teacher? What are your credentials? No, we are all perfectly capable of teaching our own children, right? So
Yes.
over the summer and all throughout history, we did that, right? Like public
Yes.
school is the experiment. That is the new thing, right? Um, but so over the summer, I talked to the school and I found out that the kids were going to have to wear masks and stay 6 feet away from each other. Mind you, my son is in kindergarten and he was already having issues at school because he was having anxiety at school. And I was trying to figure that out because he didn't have anxiety at home. And the school would not let me stay for the day to observe and see what was happening so I could figure out what was going on with him. It was a really tough position to be in. But also homeschooling sounded really scary to me too. But once I found out the masks and the social distancing, I'm like, so now his anxiety is going to be so much worse. And he's in kindergarten, right? Going into first grade. So I had one friend that was homeschooling and she's like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I knew at least I would have one friend that was also homeschooling. So my son would have at least one homeschool. Like I knew I could teach him at that point. But my biggest fear was I didn't want him sitting home alone. I wanted him to have friends. I wanted him to have a community. I wanted him to have a social life, right? So anyways, yeah, I get off the phone with the school, finding out about the masks and the social distancing, and I call my husband at work. And we had already had a couple light conversations about homeschooling, just brainstorming, nothing definite. And I called him and I said, I'm going to tell you something and you just have to have my back. I get emotional every time I say this. Like, you just have to have my back. And he's like, what? And I said, I was working. I was doing Instacart at the time. I was like, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm pulling them and we're homeschooling. And there was a very slight pause and he just said, okay. and 100% had my back from that moment forward. And that's what we did. And I pulled him and I homeschooled him. And then I got on Facebook and I'm looking up all the local homeschool groups, and there were so many, like you wouldn't even believe, right? So I can get like social anxiety and I'm an overthinker, but what better like motivator than my kid, right? So I went to all the things. I went to all the meetups, all the classes, all the everything. And I ended up landing in the homeschool group that I'm in now. And I've been there for like 5 years. I actually teach classes there. So like moms can teach different classes. It's just the setup is amazing. And the two women that created, geez, Margaret, getting me all emotional. The two women that created the space, I am like eternally grateful to, because they gave me this space to raise my kids in. So I can teach. And while I'm doing that, I'm building relationships with the other kids. So I know all my kids' friends. I know all my kids' friends' parents. And while I'm teaching, my younger son is in, the young child room. I can go peek in on him. My older son is in the tech room because that's his thing. He's a tech kid. I can go peek in on him. And it's this really interconnected community where we all come in and contribute, and we all have these relationships. And it's a bunch of moms that said, I don't like the public school system. I'm not sending my kid off to strangers. I'm going to take self-responsibility and I'm going to do this myself. And it's such a beautiful thing. It makes me emotional. But then I'm wondering, how can we take that concept and create systems in other ways, right? Because this is a way that we stop participating with the government. We stop participating in the control systems that we don't agree with, and we made our own way and we figured it out. I didn't figure it out. I just showed up and participated in the community, right? But these women figured it out. So how can we do that in other ways? Where we're maybe like growing local food and building a community off of that. Or, I can provide this service and I can provide, like, how can we come together and cut the government out and find our own way of doing it? Right. And that's what I'm seeing with the astrology. Sorry, I know that was a lot.
No, no, that's exactly what we need to be seeing and doing and talking about on a local, state, federal, and international level. That's the
Yeah.
way my thinking is. We have the power in our hands. Why
Right.
not utilize it? Right?
And yeah, so they're a very freedom-minded community. And so one of the things I learned there is when you give people freedom that never had it, they don't know what to do with it, right? And so when I first went there, I was waiting for direction. I was waiting for other people to tell me what to do. And they're like, "Well, what do you think? Like, you're a mom, you're capable. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Me? I don't know." Like, I want somebody to tell me what to do, but they would not tell me what to do, because they just firmly and strongly believe in freedom and self-responsibility and self-accountability. So it was definitely a learning curve for me. It was really uncomfortable, honestly, for a while. It took me a while to understand it and get used to it and figure out, what do I think? Like, you know what I mean? How do I want to contribute? How do I want to go about this? What do I like? Because nobody ever asked me what I think. They just told me what to do. And so that's what I was conditioned to think. And now that I'm in a community where I do have that freedom and I do have that voice, I could never go back. Right? I could never go back to somebody just telling me what to do.
And this freedom, you elevated and evolved over time
Yes.
based on knowing your why.
Hmm.
Okay, we talked about that this morning in the notes. Knowing your why, you were able to figure it out on your own based on your environment, your experience,
Yep.
okay, which is different for everybody.
And it's uncomfortable, right? So listen, there were a lot of times I wanted to quit. And there were even times I asked my son, like, are you okay if we leave this community and we'll just go, to another community? And my son was like, no, absolutely not. And I saw in his face how much it meant to him. So even though I was uncomfortable, I was not taking him. I felt how much it meant to him, right? Because it's not just the parents, it's the kids, that they let the kids have the freedom to be who they are, learn how they want to learn, and be themselves. So even though it was uncomfortable, my son was my motivation, but also the women in charge and the women that set the tone are very gracious, and they let everybody be who they are, and they give you the space to figure it out. And it's okay to make a mistake, and you can just learn and do better next time. So the vibe of the environment, I feel like, was so important. And so that's something I really want people to think about too, is like, are you being that safe space for other people so that they can grow into themselves in a comfortable, safe way, right? Because a lot of us have anxiety, a lot of us are overthinkers, a lot of us are scared to be ourselves, to make a move, to try a thing. And why is that? It's because the criticism we get from the outside world. So if we hold that space for other people, you know, like, just let everybody be who they are and like figure it out, right?
It's not complicated.
It's not. Why do we make it so complicated?
Wow, this has been a very, very powerful conversation. Now, how did you want to? Did you want to do a general reading for everybody to illustrate the power of astrology?
Oh, I
I'm
can talk about the astrology. I can pull some cards. I can shuffle while I'm talking about the astrology.
well, however you want to do it. You are the
Okay.
master here. Okay.
Um, So the nodes are about to switch signs. So we can talk about that. I'm actually working on my post about that right now. So the north node and the south node, it's like our destiny, right? And we all have it in our birth chart, but wherever it is at a given time is the energy that we're all working with, right? So right now the north node is in Pisces, which means we're supposed to be, the north node is like our north star. It's where we're heading, it's our direction. And in Pisces, that's our dream, that's our spirituality. So we're supposed to be getting the ball rolling on our dream. And the south node in Virgo is letting go of having to know all the details, letting go of the overthinking, letting go of the criticizing of ourselves and others, right? So this is like, you don't have to know the whole journey, right? But you just have to take the next step in the direction towards your dream. And so they're about to switch the true node on July 26th and the mean node on August 18th. So in between those times, the north node is going to switch into Aquarius. And that's where Pluto is, right? So while Pluto is empowering the people and transforming the people, now that's going to be where the north node is, which is making it so much more powerful. That's where we're supposed to be going, right? And Aquarius is the group. It is the community. So the north node is telling us we need to come together, and it's not just about ourselves. It's how can we lift each other up? How can we come together and make this work? Because while the north node is in Aquarius, the south node is going to be in Leo. And Leo is the star. Leo is the leader. Leo is the person in the spotlight. And listen, it's okay to shine, right? It's going to be okay to shine, but are we shining for a reason? Are we shining to share our wisdom? Are we shining to uplift the community? Or are we just shining because we want attention, right? And so also, it's not just about us shining, it's about letting other people shine and being the audience for other people when it is their time to shine. Because it's not just about us. The power really comes from us coming together and the communities. A lot of people are already feeling that shift. And I'm wondering if it's because of the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in those signs. So we got the Seven of Swords, and this talks about withholding information. So what I'm getting is like, maybe don't show your whole hand. Maybe there's some information that we need to keep to ourselves. But also, is there information that's being kept from you, right? So Pluto, since we're talking about Pluto, is retrograde right now until September. So Aquarius is the observer too, right? So we're meant to sit back and observe how people act when they get a little taste of power. I'm just going to put the cards down because this is the message. Yeah, so Uranus and Gemini is shaking up communities, right? Some communities might end. New communities might form. Some communities might split. Some communities are just reshuffling within themselves and the power structures within them are changing. So you want to watch how people are moving when they get a little taste of power. Are they holding their integrity? Are they keeping the group first? Or are they using that power to just uplift themselves, right? Because as these groups and communities are reshuffling, if you find yourself in a position where you have a say in how this works out, you want to know who you trust in a position of power, right? Because the underlying power dynamics are going to start showing themselves. And the wise ones are going to be paying attention when that happens so that they have the information they need when it comes time to make a decision.
Does anybody have any questions? Wendy said right. And she also said, that's what I want to know if I'm choosing the right path slash career for myself.
Okay. Well, Mercury's retrograde right now also. Listen, I would just say sit back and observe. Today is a new moon. So today is like let's just stay home and relax and take care of ourselves, and the epiphanies and the light bulb moments, they're going to hit us. You'll know. But you just have to be patient and let things reveal themselves. I think you will know. You'll know before you need to make the decision. And try not to overthink it because sometimes the message comes right before you need to know it.
Do you have anything else to add on that,
I
Lindsay?
think I said all the things, Margaret.
Okay. Okay, great. You talked about the North Node. You also talked about the South Node. Okay. We
Yeah,
also talked about the sun sign and the what else? You have the rising sign also. Okay. You have the sun, the moon, the rising. Yeah. And so yeah, with the sun, that's the core identity, and the
yeah,
moon is the emotional needs,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the rising is the first impression. So
yeah,
uh
exactly.
So astrology is a very important part of all of our lives. We don't necessarily realize that even with our menstrual period. Think about it. Back in the day, they used to use that clock to say, okay, this is the time that, the woman can get pregnant. This between this time and this time. And so they planned women's birth around it. They planned a lot of rituals and holidays and everything around astrology.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more powerful than people realize. Even during the Egyptian times, looking at all the signs, the signals, the even down to the language, the letters, everything. Even Morse code has signals.
Yeah.
Even technology. 0, 1. So we need to pay attention to all of these things. Numerology, all of these things have hidden keys to wisdom that we haven't even tapped into, that
Yeah.
raises our conscious level. Okay. So these are the things that we try to, knowledge is power. People wake up to all of these things that are around us that are free. Tap
Yeah.
into all these resources and tools that can elevate us in ways where we want to go. The 1% of utilizing all of these tools, it's time for us to do the same thing.
And with AI, all of this information is literally right at our fingertips, you know?
So, so none of us have any excuse. So when you talked about that homeschooling program, I felt that if I had any kids at this time, they would all be homeschooled for all the reasons that you stated. We are a product of our environment, okay? And the more we can uh, communicate with other people from other nationalities, other cultures, other ways of life. This is how we grow as a collective. Okay, this is not just about individual, this is about the collective, how we rise together as a collective. And so if people are interested in finding out more information about either your astrology, your tarot, your energy healing, which we really, I don't know if we really stressed on that, but that's very important during these times, because people are, because there are vampire energy vampires out there. And I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
And we need to find ways to protect our energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that, but that's very, very important in today's world.
Yeah, so Reiki is so powerful. That's another thing that just blows my mind. I just got attuned this year, so that's something that's like pretty new for me. And I'm actually going to start offering sessions in person here locally. I have a meeting tomorrow to go talk to them about doing that, and so I'm going to do like astrology one-on-ones, tarot one-on-ones, Reiki one-on-ones, and I've never done that before. So I've written my astrology and stuff here on Substack. I've done like some YouTube stuff, but I've never done one-on-ones. So that is new for me. But it's also in my birth chart that that's what I'm meant to do. So I'm kind of working on taking that leap, and I want to offer one-on-ones here on Substack also. For me, it's just kind of like a scheduling thing. My schedule is so busy because I am a mom, and I do have other things that, other responsibilities that I have to do. But I am going to start offering one-on-one sessions here on Substack soon. So if anybody's interested in that, they can subscribe. And whenever I announce it, you guys will get to see it.
Absolutely, because without protecting your energy, you have nothing for real. Because people can take
Mhm.
everything from you. You don't even realize that your energy is being siphoned from you until you're like, dang, what happened?
Yeah.
My life turned to shit, and this is why. So we have to be aware of. That's why I put all these messages out. Keep your circle small. You know, why are these people entering your lives? What is the motives? You need to ask yourself questions. Yeah, I am tired too. That's why I have to step back, and I'm like, okay, I've been on social media too long. I need a break. And
Yeah.
you need to take that break, okay?
Yeah.
That's for your mental, physical, emotional well-being, okay? Period. Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Period. All right? Because the same people was following you yesterday, they will follow you tomorrow. If they not, then they wasn't meant for you anyway.
Mhm.
Period. Okay? Period. Take care of yourself first. I learned that. So do
Yeah.
you have anything else to add, Lindsay? Any
Um,
suggestions, recommendations?
I just want to say, I want to touch on our intuition again, right? Because you were saying about, people wanting to steal your energy and just, bad vibes. If you have like a bad gut feeling about somebody, you don't have to understand it. You don't have to have the whole story behind it. Just trust your intuition, because that's something that I struggle with. If I feel like there's something off about somebody, but then I'm like, oh, but I don't want to be mean, or maybe I'm just being judgmental. And then I will like force myself to interact and be nice to that person. And then they end up like putting their negative energy on me. And I'm just like I fell for it. Right. So it doesn't make you a bad person to put up your boundaries. Not everybody deserves access to you, right? Like you're allowed to have your boundaries.
Period.
And yeah, and you can still be a good person and have boundaries is all I'm saying. So just don't feel like you always have owe other people access to you, because you don't. If your gut is telling you something, you're feeling it for a reason.
Listen to it.
Yeah.
Okay? For real. You save
Because there are
yourself a
real
lot of
consequences.
for real. You save yourself a lot of grief that way.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. This has been so amazing. Thank you so much. I
This is
really
so fun,
appreciate
Margaret.
you.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
having me. I loved every second of this.
Yes. And thank you all very much as well. And enjoy the rest of your day and your night wherever you are. Thanks again. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.